Do you have a terrible audition experience?
I do have a terrible audition experience. The producers and directors were ordering lunch while I was singing.
What?
It was so
Like,
horrible.
actually,
I booked West Side Story a week later.
So, like, did you have to audition for Snow White, or like, oh, they saw you in West Side Story, they're like, you're Snow White?
I actually got a really glowing recommendation from Steven Spielberg to Mark Webb, who directed Snow White, saying that the fact that I had gotten the part before I had found out, because I wished him a happy Father's Day as
It is the real beginning of my life as a young lady of America. Of America.
Rachel Ziegler's rise to fame had all the makings of a modern-day Hollywood fairy tale. It all started with a viral audition video that catapulted her into the spotlight. Ziegler, then just a teenager, was cast as Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, a remake of the iconic musical. The film was a critical hit, and Ziegler was praised for her performance, with many hailing her as the next big thing in Hollywood. Her story seemed like it couldn't get any better, until it did. But behind the shiny exterior of her success, things were beginning to unravel. The cracks in her image were subtle at first, but grew more noticeable over time, largely due to her fiery attitude and controversial behavior on set. From the outset of her career, Ziegler was known for being outspoken and unafraid to speak her mind. Even if it ruffled feathers. On the set of West Side Story, reports started to emerge that she was a challenging presence. While some of this was framed as perfectionism, a sign of an artist who demanded the best from herself and others felt her behavior bordered on diva-like.
I'm a happy sun, a sleepy rising, and a bashful moon.
Ziegler was reportedly difficult with choreographers, often pushing for changes she felt would better suit her interpretation of the character. She even clashed with Spielberg, the director who had given her the chance of a lifetime. Some viewed these tensions as a sign of her passion for her craft, while others saw it as a lack of humility and respect for the legendary director's vision. As the gossip about her behavior spread, Ziegler's reputation began to sour among industry professionals who had once seen her as the golden child of Hollywood. Despite the drama, Ziegler's career seemed to be on an upward trajectory. She was cast in several high-profile projects, including Disney's highly anticipated Snow White live-action remake, a $250 million project with enormous stakes. The film, produced by Disney, was expected to be a major success, a new twist on a beloved classic with Ziegler in the leading role. But from the very beginning, things started to go off the rails. Ziegler, who was heavily involved in promoting the film, made several controversial remarks about the original Snow White and its characters that set the internet ablaze.
Said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. Yeah.
One of her most infamous comments was her criticism of Snow White herself, saying that the character from the 1937 animated film was creepy and that her story was outdated. These comments didn't sit well with Disney fans, many of whom had a deep attachment to the original film. But it was Ziegler's remarks about Prince Charming that really set the internet on fire. She called the prince a stalker for pursuing Snow White in the original story, which was seen by many as an attack on one of Disney's most beloved characters. These comments were not only poorly received by fans, but also by a wider audience who felt that Ziegler was taking aim at the very legacy that had made her famous.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. It's one of those things that I think everyone's gonna have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut, who knows? It's Hollywood.
The backlash against Ziegler was swift and severe. Fans flooded social media with memes, mocking her comments and questioning her ability to lead a major Disney film. But it wasn't just fans who were critical. The press, which had once been enamored with her, turned against Ziegler, labeling her as entitled and out of touch with her audience. Critics began to question her place in Hollywood, wondering if she had truly earned her spot at the top, or if she was just another starlet who had gotten too big for her britches. The more Ziegler defended her controversial comments, the more the media turned on her, adding fuel to the fire of her growing reputation as a problematic figure in Hollywood. But what really sealed her fate was the release of Snow White, which failed to live up to expectations both critically and financially. Despite the massive budget and Disney's marketing push, the film was a box office flop, grossing far less than anticipated. Fans, who had already soured on Ziegler due to her earlier comments, were quick to blame her for the film's failure. The media wasn't far behind, with some outlets suggesting that Ziegler's controversial remarks had alienated audiences and hurt the movie's chances. Instead of owning up to the film's failure, Ziegler doubled down on her rhetoric, blaming everything from Minecraft to the changing tastes of the audience for the movie's poor performance. This refusal to take responsibility for the failure was seen by many as yet another example of her lack of maturity and inability to handle criticism. As the situation continued to deteriorate, Ziegler's reputation in Hollywood plummeted. Her once promising career seemed to be unraveling before her eyes. The very people who had championed her just a few years earlier now seemed to be keeping their distance. Spielberg, the director who had given her the role that launched her career, remained silent on the matter, leaving many to wonder if their relationship had soured for good. Hollywood is a place where connections and reputations are everything, and Ziegler's inability to repair the damage to her image was putting her future in serious jeopardy. The young star had once been seen as the next big thing, but now she seemed more like a cautionary tale, someone whose career could implode as quickly as it had risen. But even as Ziegler's career hit rock bottom, there was a glimmer of hope. Hollywood is notorious for giving second chances to stars who have the right connections, and Ziegler's previous successes with Spielberg and her natural talent could still give her the chance to make a comeback. However, for that to happen, Ziegler would need to do more than just ride on her past successes. She would need to demonstrate humility, take responsibility for her mistakes, and rebuild the trust she had lost with both the public and the industry. Whether she is able to do that remains to be seen. The Hollywood machine is quick to forget those who don't play the game, but it's also quick to forgive those who can win back the public's favor. In the end, Ziegler's career is far from over, but the way forward is anything but certain. Will she learn from her mistakes, grow as an artist, and find her way back to the top? Or will she fade into obscurity, another example of a star who burned bright for a moment, but couldn't handle the heat? Only time will tell. But if there's one thing Hollywood loves, it's a comeback story. Whether Rachel Ziegler can turn her tarnished reputation around and reclaim her spot in the spotlight is the ultimate question. For now, she remains one of the most controversial and talked about figures in the industry. A reminder that in Hollywood, fame is as fleeting as it is hard to maintain.
You seem to be dominating the world of musicals. You're doing Evita in London, right? You've done a lot of Broadway.
Yeah, I did Shakespeare for 20 weeks. I'm coming off of that right now.
20 weeks of Shakespeare.